Hello, welcome to my game room. So I was gonna make this video just to kind of review something we've been struggling in class with just a little bit. It's adding and subtracting these big mixed numbers with some regrouping. It's really tough. You can do it. You've been getting better at it. I just wanted to make a quick video to remind you, and it's something you can watch over and over and over again instead of playing like Roblox and Fortnite and all those boring games that are going out of style. You can just watch my math videos all the time. Does that sound good? Yeah, I know you're excited. So this problem says 2 1/4 minus 1 3/4. I don't like it when they're written this way. I wrote it this way because you'll probably see it this way on SOL testing, on benchmark testing. You'll see it this way. We need to stack it. We need to rewrite it. And we notice 2 1/4 is the greater number because it has the larger whole number. So when I write it down here, I'm going to write it on top, minus 1 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to do this problem 3 different ways because I've taught you 3 different ways. No one singular way is better than the other, but I do have a personal favorite. I will talk about it when I get to it. But the first way I originally taught you is we have to, when we notice, like if I go to subtract here, it'd be different if I was adding, but if I'm subtracting, well, you learned this years ago. If there's more on the floor, what do you got to do? You got to go next door and borrow some more. I don't like to say borrow, though. I don't like it because if you borrow something, that means you're, at some point, if you're honest, going to give it back. If you borrow a friend's Nintendo Switch, do you keep it forever? No, you give it back, or they will come and take it back themselves. So borrowing, it's okay. I mean, I use it sometimes still because I grew up hearing it. But a better word, the word I like to use. It starts with an E. I hope you know it. It's exchanging, right? Exchanging. Because if I have $1 bill and I go to the cash register and I want to buy some gumballs, but the gumball machine only takes quarters, I can't stick my dollar in there. I exchange $1 for 4 quarters. At no point do I have to go give those quarters back. They're mine now. I exchange. So, sorry, I feel very strongly about that. So, exchanging. That's what we're going to do. So, I can't take 3/4 away from 1/4. I just can't do it. So, I have to go exchange. I have 2 holes right here. So, I'm going to exchange, make that 1 hole. Here's the big part, though, where we get off track immediately. I borrow and I want to go right here and boom. No, don't do that. That's illegal in math. Now, I know what you're thinking. We do that all the time. When you do it with whole numbers, it's different, okay? That would be okay. We're not dealing with just whole numbers. We're dealing with mixed numbers. This is the fractional part of the mixed number. I don't have 11/4. I just can't do that. Get rid of that. What we really need to do is focus on the denominator, which is 4. So I know 1 whole equals 4/4. You know that. So what I'm really doing is I'm going over here and I'm taking 1 whole, or I'm taking 4/4. And I'm going to give them to this guy right here. I'm just going to add 4 extra right there. And I'm actually going to need this room right here. So I'm just going to get rid of that. So this looks messy. This looks kind of weird. We're going to make it look better. So I'm going to put an equal sign for both of these. Now I have 1 whole left. I'm going to go over here and rewrite it. 1 whole, 1/4 plus 4/4. Now I have 5/4, and I know what you're thinking. Mr. Mullins, you've told us this a million times. That is illegal. We can't do that either. If that was my final answer, yeah, slap the cuffs on me. That's illegal. I can't do that. But that's not my final answer. I'm using this to help me get there. So remember that. We can do it. We just can't leave it like that. because an improper fraction in the end doesn't belong in a mixed number. We got to get rid of those. So that's fine for now. This gentleman down here has been very patient. We've not used him yet, but he's finally about to get in the game. So we're just going to move him over. My 1 out there looks very fancy. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but I mean that is 10 out of 10. So now we can subtract. Now I go to my fractions. 5/4 minus 3/4, 2/4, 1 whole minus 1 whole is nothing. Do we need that 0? Is that really necessary? No, I actually want to get rid of it. I would rather you not do that, okay? It just looks better. Now, is that my final answer? I hope you know that it's not. Not just because I'm asking you in that way, but I hope you recognize immediately that 1/2 is the same thing as 2/4. That's simplest form. Remember, we put it in simplest form. So my answer, 2 1/4 minus 1 3/4 equals 1/2. That is the best answer. So that's the first way to do it. Now I'm going to show you another way, which we've covered. This way is also a little tricky, but the one thing I think that makes this next strategy maybe a little bit better is that we don't have to go over and do the exchanging. Because sometimes the exchanging is what makes some students get a little thrown off because they're not used to doing that with fractions, and I get it, and you'll get better at it, and some of you are already feeling pretty comfortable doing that. So if you like the exchanging method, do that. But now I'm going to rewrite the same problem. Should have wrote my fancy one again, but I did not. All right, now the other way is we're going to turn both of these into improper fractions. The reason we're going to do this is so we don't have to exchange. We can just do the subtraction. So remember, we use something called the C method. We call it the C method because what does that look like? It looks like a big capital C. The arrow is to help you remember which way to go. We multiply at the bottom, we add at the top. Let's do it again over here. Multiply at the bottom, add at the top. Another thing, I notice my denominator is 4. Again, I'm not changing that, so that gets to stay the way it is. So now, it doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start down here. 4 times 1, 4. 4 plus 3, 7. 1 3/4 is equivalent to 7/4. That's just a messier way to look at it. That's why it's called improper. Proper, improper. Proper, improper. You get the idea. So 4, do the top now. 4 times 2, 8 plus 1, 9. 2 1/4 is equivalent or equal to 9/4. Okay? So now we can just do the subtraction because look, 9 is bigger than 7. We don't have to exchange now. We can just do the subtraction. So 9/4 minus 7/4 is 2/4. Again, we know that simplifies to 1/2 because remember 2 and 4's GCF is 2. That means greatest common factor. They're both divisible or can be divided by 2. So if I divide by 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that's another way to get my same answer. Now, I had a little eraser. I don't know where it went. It might be in my pocket. It's not. It's in the floor. I see it. So, I've been standing here for a while. I want to get rid of this. And actually, no, I don't need to get rid of that. Poor GCF. Now, this, when we work with the numbers, we need to get good at that because as you get older, you're going to have to work with much bigger numbers. So, this brings me, though, to my personal favorite. You know, I love picture, model, diagram, it all means the same thing. Now, as you start dealing with larger fractions and decimals in the upcoming years, models will still help you. It will just take longer to draw them out. But for this type of problem, a model will work perfectly. So when I'm subtracting, I don't need to model both of these. When I'm subtracting, I really just need to start with the big one, because what am I doing when I subtract? I'm taking something away. So I just need to start with 2 1/4. So I know I have 2 wholes. I want to do circles. And since I'm dealing with fourths, I'm going to cut them into fourths. All right. Now, I don't just have 2 holes, I also have 1/4 extra. So you can draw another whole circle and cut it into fourths. What I like to do though, and if you don't like this, that's fine, you can leave it like this, but I personally like to just leave, like if I just have a fourth or just a couple of fourths, I just want it by itself. It still needs to be the same size. So again, if you like to just draw the whole thing and just not acknowledge the other ones, that's fine, but this helps me keep up with what I'm doing. So I have 2 1/4. That's my starting number. What am I taking away? I'm taking away 1 3/4. So I'll start with the whole number, 1 whole. I'm just getting rid of it. There it goes. Okay, so that's part of it done. 1 whole's gone. Now I gotta get rid of 3/4. I'm gonna start with this guy all by himself. So 1/4 gone, 2/4 gone, 3/4 gone. I have 2/4 left, or you know it, 1/2. Same answer. 3 ways to get the exact same answer. So whichever strategy makes the most sense to you is totally fine, but you realize that this is challenging. It's a lot of work, but you can do hard things. You guys are really great math students, and you just got to be willing to go the extra mile sometime, and I know you are. So we're going to keep practicing these. We're going to get better, and remember, if enough of you pass your SOL test, and this will be on there, if enough of you pass your SOL test, you know what I have to do to my hair. I got to dye it some funny color. You get to embarrass me a full day. This stuff's on there, so we got to make sure we know it. But I believe in you, believe in yourself, and now I'm going to let in-person Mr. Mullins get back to running his class. So be good for Mr. Mullins. See ya.